Okay, let's dig right in, guys. Tonight I want to talk about vocal de-essing, and it's one of the trickiest things to get right in all of mixing. Vocal in most music is the most important thing by, 7 billion. Get that right, you're a stud. Get it wrong, and you're an idiot. A lot of times that's that one thing that's the difference between a mega recording and a home recording. So the big thing we want to look at here with sibilants, there's two things. One, it can never hurt. And did I say one? One, it can never hurt. 8, it can never hurt. G, it can never be obvious that we ruined it. And it's really tricky. You listen to, of all things that taught me a lot about sibilants, is Pink's Greatest Hits. I don't know which one. There's probably 3 of them by now or something. But listen to that all the way through. You will hear some songs that have the most aggressive S you've ever heard. And I say aggressive, like it's loud and clearly a part of the sound, but somehow still good. When I heard that on my monitors, I was like, wow, okay, so it's not that we have to nuke everything up top. An S is not the end of the world by any means. It's a very fundamental part of a lot of the vocal sound. With that said, it's real easy for it to be, just bad. And you know it when you hear it because it hurts. So, all right, with that rant over, let's talk here a little bit or see what we got. This is kind of a jazzy kind of tune. I haven't mixed it yet. This is just the rough tracks from tracking, but let's see what we got here. And I've got the vocals. This is the raw vocal we tracked, and I think I compressed this with an LA3A. This is SM7 into, I don't know, probably a Wonder PA4 mic preamp.
Eyes like his daddy, lips like his mom, a soul that only God would know.
Okay, that's good enough. We don't have to listen to this song for a million years. Soul, which even sounded a little sibilant in my headphones there when I said it. Soul is a problem. And let's look at what our ozone spectrograph says. One more time.
Eyes like his daddy, lips like his mom, a soul that only God would know.
Okay, over there we have Mount Everest. So when we start getting in, again, this metering stuff I don't put a million stock into, but when we start seeing getting into the orange and white in this particular case, getting into the high rung, that's a major issue. Now we need to kind of figure out where the worst of the worst is. But I tell you what, when I processed all this, I didn't even care. I've got a few good tools that I find very, very helpful. And so I just kind of did a generic thing. So with processing, and there are many ways to treat sibilants, but with processing is usually the first way just because it's faster. If you can find automatic settings that work, you may as well do it. Now, you won't have all this gear, and if you don't, I don't know the right answer. Because sometimes this is where character becomes a part of fun. We talk about color with plugins sometimes, and so-and-so EQ does this, so-and-so compressor does that. And the fact that it has that character isn't always important as knowing what you can do with it. I think we're kind of getting, it's not so much that I'm getting ready to show you 2 UAD plugins, and it's not that UAD is the greatest or even the best for this or any of it. Plugins are just plugins. It really becomes the difference between a flathead screwdriver and a Phillips. And when you need a Phillips and all you got's a flathead, then you often have a problem, and vice versa. So I don't want to turn this into oh, my plugins are so nice and expensive and good, because half the time I'm cussing the damn things. Actually, more than half the time. But I have a few things that have little characteristics, little quirks that I'm like, that could be useful. So it's not an issue of being better or worse. So anyway, first thing I'm going to do is turn on this TubeTech compressor, which is hidden. Let's ditch the spectrograph. I like having that up for video, but for now it's not that important. I've got very generic settings, nothing really special here. Let's see, let's get that looping.
Eyes like his daddy, lips like his mom, a soul that only God would know.
And all that's really doing is just kind of smoothing it out. It's an opto compressor. It just has this particular, it's my favorite compressor on earth. Highly recommended. The best $300 you'll probably ever spend on a compressor. and that includes hardware. It just does something right. Not doing a lot to it, and that really doesn't address our sibilance issue too much. As you probably heard right there, Soul is a big mess. So what I did, I went before that compressor, and I added the Fatso Senior, excuse me. And I didn't mess with it too much. This thing is, it's kind of like a tape emulator of sorts, but that's not exactly, I don't know, it's stupid. But it has my favorite word on earth. If you guys aren't used to the site at all, warmth, I ban. I don't like it because it doesn't mean anything. But these guys, I know what it means. It means we're going to knock off some top end, kind of like a multi-brain compressor would, but somehow different. And I can't put it into words. All I know is if we send junk that's too much high end into this thing, it will tame it. And so I've got this magic warmth button up pretty damn high. It's kind of like saying the threshold's aggressive or down or whatever you want to call it. So let's listen to it with this guy on there, before and after. Okay, so none.
Eyes like his daddy, lips like his mom, a soul that only God would know.
All right, well, let's go ahead and skip to Soul here.
Lips like his mom, a soul that only God would know.
Okay, it tames it. Soul is this freaking loud. But what I'm trying to do here is just nudge it in the direction I want it to be. And so I think that the tube tech compressor is probably doing a little bit of its own nudging, although not so much intentional. It just happens to be what that thing does. It just smooths out stuff. But I guess so does this thing. But this is a little more aggressive, a little bit of intentionally going after that Soul problem. Now, of course, is multiband. And multiband compression, another tool I use the crap out of. I like it anytime I like the sound of something, except at certain times. Here's our multiband compressor to kick in. So let's just kind of watch what I've got. I've done two things here, and maybe this is a time for the spectrograph. Let's see where we are right now. Sibilance is quite of a range. It can get down even like 3K sometimes, and that sometimes surprises me. And I was always trying to treat 10 or 15K, in my early days, and that's that 2-3K stuff that often hurts when it sneaks down there, and it's not supposed to be there. What are you doing here? But probably like somebody with a tan in Canada. Or, I don't know. I've never been to Canada. Shut up. Okay. I'm trying to be funny. Okay, anyway, it just seems like, why is it down there? Well, that's part of the reason that it hurts so bad was because these frequencies are the pain frequencies. 2K is the spot that hurts the most, in my opinion. We've kind of got this 3 to 5K type sibilance. You've got 5K to 8K, 9K, something like that. And then you got the really top end stuff, which is just really, it's very hard to hear on most stereos, but you'll find one that always kills you. So that's another thing to be worried about. But the point here is that sometimes when you solve it on one front, you cause problems on another. And I thought that I heard on this last Soul thing, I thought I heard more of it in the 6K range and not so much. Before it was up higher, more like 10. So let's just see what the spectrograph says. Maybe I'm just full of crap.
Eyes like his daddy, lips like his mom.
I want to point out that I really liked eyes. The S on eyes is perfect. I have no issues with that at all. In fact, I like it a lot.
Eyes like his daddy, lips like his mom, a soul that only God would know.
Okay, what happened there? Mount Everest is less Everesty, but it's still Everestal. Let's check it out one more time and pay attention to the frequencies, which means we have to kind of look at these numbers down here now.
Soul that
Okay, and yet we're still in 7K. But notice there's almost nothing going on up at 10K and stuff, and I think that was from Mr. Fatso here. So let's check again with just a tube tech compressor on.
Eyes like his daddy, lips like his mom, a soul that
Okay, so we're still peaked up there, but we had quite a little bit higher. And it looks like the Fatso tamed quite a bit of that high of stuff.
a soul that only God.
We're a lot closer. All right, so now we add on our multi-band UAD toy, which is hidden behind here. Get back here. This meter, I don't like it when they force to be on top. It's a girl's job. All right, anyway. Let's see what we look like here. And again, we're just using this to supplement our hearing. don't ever take this too damn seriously. I'm just trying to help you new guys.
Lips like his mom, a soul that only.
Okay, we still got some stuff. What this probably needs is to focus more on, as I kind of described earlier, the 6K business. And I've got this green guy, which is band number 2, or I guess I don't know, from the right. We are going to move him. So kind of like I was saying a minute ago, where we have the higher band, which will catch that really top end stuff, which is not a problem at all in this song so much, but it needs to be dealt with most likely. But we're going to start really planning our attack on that middle stuff. And this is one thing that the pictures, the meters can help you with. It's making sure you're not treating the wrong stuff, because it's really easy to treat stuff and say, okay, I don't know what else to do. Where do I go from here? And anyway, these things keep you in line from making too many mistakes most of the time. So let's get a little more aggressive with this dude. And I'm actually going to bypass this guy by turning the ratio down to 1-to-1. So that won't be doing anything. So all I care about right now is what's going on between 2K and 5K. And I'm actually going to go up higher. I'm going to go up to... Let's just go up to... Oh, 6 is as high as we can go, which is unfortunate. But okay, we'll see how this happens here. Alright, now we're doing some damage. And I don't mean that in a good way at all.
His mom, a soul that only God would know. Big eyes like his daddy, lips like his mom, a soul that only God would know.
Another thing here, my ratio is 4.41 to 1. So we're basically full-blown limiting. I don't like that. And I noticed that eyes, I think, was a little bit heavier than I want it to be, and we're definitely too heavy on the compression on soul. So let's pull this back down to say something like 1.6 to 1, where we have somewhere to work with here. Let's see.
Eyes like his daddy, lips like his mom, a soul that only God would know. Big eyes like his daddy, lips like his mom, a soul that only...
Okay, we are super close. What I'm going to do now is raise the threshold and then increase the ratio. So we are going to look at it more like a limiter and not touch the softer stuff at all. Let's see how that gets us.
Eyes like his daddy, lips like his mom, a soul that only God...
All right, that's not far off. Again, we don't want to over-treat this. And that's the other thing I want to talk about real quick is when in doubt with the sibilant stuff, you can fixate it on and get obsessed with it so much, and that's all you care about. And that turns you into some kind of Howard Hughes guy, or you're peeing in jars and won't get a haircut and stuff. Make you crazy, in other words. So what I recommend is forget about it. Move on to something else in the mix and start obsessing about anything else. It doesn't matter. And what I find is when a mix concludes or gets close to the end, I start noticing, well, do I like sibilants? Am I cool? Am I not? And at that point, we can start dealing with it in other ways. And this processing stuff, when it doesn't fully solve the problem, and it has on everything but the word soul here, he dug in pretty heavy on that soul, and I blame him for doing it, the singer for doing it, and me for not catching it. That was both of our faults, I guess. But that's something we could have dealt with in the performance, and that's also something we could probably dig up from another track if we happen to have it, which I don't. So at this point, I would move on to manually editing. All right, guys, thanks. Bye.